now. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome to week 1 of the USFL. The USFL is back after only a couple decades, but we finally get football back in the spring. With the XFL experiment in 2020 not going quite as planned, we're giving it another shot. Just as we're going up to the NFL draft as well, which we're going to have to cover and talk about a little bit when that happens. But we have the first week USFL football, 4 games to predict. We're going to go all season, hopefully, if the league allows us to go all season. You never really know. But so far, I'm optimistic. And Smokey, how are you feeling about this?
Oh, man. Excited just to have football, you know. And it's a fun experience to learn a lot of new players, too. And you just see some old faces, too. Some of the guys from the XFL are back. Some of the guys from, the FFL are back. And you see some backups and guys like that from the NFL in here. So it's good to see the old players back and have a job at least and see them back on the field and learn a bunch of new players and see how these teams are going to shake out.
Well, scrolling through these roster lists, there is a lot of names that you recognize from NFL days, especially people that have kind of been bouncing around as like the journeyman in the NFL that are giving it a shot and getting to play. Maybe as a starter in this one. So we're gonna get into that a little bit as we talk about the games, I think, and what teams we kind of think are strong. Today, there's really not much for us to go off other than analyzing the roster and like this could work, this could not work. Because we really don't know anything. We don't know a lot about the public practice of the teams. The draft only happened a couple months ago. These teams are not a well-oiled machine by any means. This is like completely new for everyone. So we're gonna have to judge based off of the roster and not much data to rely on yet for the first maybe few weeks. But after that, I think we'll get into a groove. We'll get an idea of what's going to work, what's not going to work. So I say we just go into it. We have 4 games, obviously starting off, they're all playing weekends. So we got Saturday, Sunday games, starting off with the Generals, New Jersey Generals at Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah, and I guess my method here is just to kind of give my own power rankings to the players. And a lot of guys I'm learning for the first time, so it's really hard to do. But I still gave each one a number value. And starting with the Generals, basically, DeAndre Johnson got the least ranking of all the starters in the QB starters in the league. So I had to factor that in. But Mike Weber at running back and Cavante Turpin is their number 1 wide receiver. Both of these guys ranked pretty highly in the league, comparatively. For the Stallions, Alex McGough is going to be starting with Jordan Shun at running back and Victor Bolden. And that name sounded familiar, but it wasn't who I thought it was. Do you know of Victor Bolden?
Yeah, he played for the Niners. He was a kick returner and like a fifth-string receiver.
That's why he sounded familiar then. Gotcha. So I overall, with Alex McGough being the 5th-ranked quarterback and 4 and 5 respectively on my list as far as a running back and wide receiver, comparatively to the Generals, I am going to be picking the Birmingham Stallions.
So I think actually just looking at the roster list, I think these might be the 2 best teams in the league that we see facing off. I think they probably have the most talent on the roster as we're looking at it right now. As for Alex McGough, he was drafted by Seattle. He went around the league as a journeyman for a bit. Back to Seattle until last year, backing up Russell Wilson. And frankly, I thought he could have started. I thought he might be able to step up into that role if given the opportunity, because he's a 7th-round pick coming out of college, I think in 2018 into Seattle, and he's proven himself to be much better than the 7th-round pick. I think this might be the best quarterback in the league of what I've seen so far, maybe if we exclude Jordan Ta'amu, because I'm a Jordan Ta'amu fan. But other than that, I think he might be the best quarterback in the league, and I have high hopes just because of that for the Stallions. Victor Bolden as well, I think that could be a deadly combo, because what I remember about Victor Bolden is he was fast. He was a kick returner. He ran a 4.4 kind of 40. He had speed. That could be a deadly combination, especially going against those secondaries that aren't really fully in the groove yet, with the chemistry not being established due to limited practice times. I think it's a really, really potentially very dangerous offense for Birmingham. So that's what I like to see a lot. And you mentioned the Generals. Offensive skill positions. I want to look at the offensive line as well, because I think this might be the best offensive line in the league, judging just from college performance. Now, a big deal about offensive line play is obviously the chemistry and the communication, but just from college performance, this is probably the most offensive line talent we have on any specific team. And then Ben Holmes went 4th overall at quarterback. You mentioned DeAndre Johnson as well in the 12th round. I'm assuming Ben Holmes is going to be the starter, but we'll probably only be sure of that when it actually happens. Nothing we can really say for sure. A lot of talent on the roster as well. In my opinion, two very, very good offenses. And I'm expecting offense to sort of dominate the early phases of this league. So I have these teams ranked quite highly. I didn't put numbers on them like you did, but I would say these could be 1 and 2. If I had to do it, I'd say 1 and 2 in whichever order you want. Definitely a good game to kick off the league and to possibly make a good name for right off the bat. And did you make a pick actually, or?
Yeah, the Stallions.
You picked the Stallions, right? I will also pick the Stallions because I like Alex and Smokey so much. I think he's going to be really, really good. He's possibly an MVP candidate, just judging from talent. Also, he's one of the quarterbacks with the most NFL experience. Now, not a starter, played the preseason games, but he's been around the NFL for 4 or 5 years now almost. That's going to help him a lot. It's still a transition for the guys coming out of college or not having been around that much or having mostly been on practice squads in the NFL for not that many years. It's going to be an adjustment either way, but he's a veteran at the position. He's better than his draft stock originally was, and they got him at 6, which surprised me. I thought he should have gone higher. Have an opinion on that as we talk about a different team later as well, but I'll take the Stallions to win it. And secondly, we have the Houston Gamblers at the Michigan Panthers.
As far as my rankings here, the Gamblers actually ranked pretty high. The Panthers, I guess you want to say that Jeff Fisher, having so much experience as their coach, is going to give them somewhat of an advantage. But as far as this offense that I'm looking at, the Gamblers seem to be far superior. Let me pull out my list here. Clayton Thorson, starting at quarterback. Dylan Dawkins, and the number 1 receiver is Isaiah Zuber. He actually ranks number 2 by these metrics, which is pretty high. I mean, for a guy that, you would think maybe Victor Bolden would be up there, or Sean Poindexter, but he is right up there. Let me look at what I got for the Panthers here. Shea Patterson, oh man, Michigan product right there. Stevie Scott, probably the best running back in this league as far as I can see right now. And what happened here? Johnny, their number 1 receiver, I didn't write down his last name. It's Johnny. All right, so Johnny, I don't guess it really matters, because even though Jeff Fisher is at the helm for the Panthers, I'm going to go with the Houston Gamblers because they have a lot of offensive firepower here, and I think they're going to take this one.
They do. What I wanted to mention about the Panthers, specifically in this case, I don't like that pick of Shea Patterson 1st overall. I think this is homerism. I think this is marketing.
Yes.
This is the Michigan team picking Michigan guy.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a smart way to build for success. I think it should have been Jordan Tamo. It should have been Alex McGough possibly. Hell, you could have taken Paxton Lynch, and they did take Paxton Lynch in the 12th round later, but you could have taken him there over Shea Patterson. I'm not sure if Shea Patterson is a starter. I don't really like the pick, and being in that position, you should have taken probably the best quarterback, and there are more established quarterbacks than Shea Patterson. You would definitely want a veteran sort of experience at that position if you are able to pick that high, and I think they kind of went the marketing route, gather a fan base kind of route, which makes sense in some way, maybe not optimal for football operations. And who of those guys is going to start, I have no idea, because Paxton Lynch, I mean, he was an NFL starter,
much more experienced. Yes,
yeah, he does have the experience in his favor. Now for Houston, Clayton Thorson I think is a fine pick at 5th overall. Probably still would have liked Alex McGough there. I think he's possibly the best. I like the defensive backfield. That's what stood out for me for Houston. I think it's a lot of NFL veteran experience in the defense and the defensive backfield specifically, which could prove important because the communication isn't at that level yet. Having those heads up players that can pay attention individually, make stuff happen, is going to be helpful. Also, something that threw me off, I was reading through the roster list. There's a player called Tyler Higbee on the Houston Gamblers, and I was thrown off for a second, but it's an offensive lineman, and he got picked in the 22nd round. He does not play tight end. It's a random offensive lineman that not related to the current NFL, Tyler Higbee, which threw me off a little bit. I'll pick the Gamblers here. Don't like what the Panthers did with their roster building. I think they went for marketing. They could have spent that draft capital better. Being able to pick the first quarterback, I don't think they took full advantage of it. And then after that, they just kind of lagged behind a little bit. This is one of the teams that, just going into it, I will carefully say are possibly on the back foot a little bit just because of that, or for that reason. I will take Houston in this one. Got the Philadelphia Stars at the New Orleans Breakers.
Yeah, we'll start with the Stars and Byron Scott. I know that name's been passed around quite a bit. Other offensive stars, Devin Gray, wide receiver, Darnell Holland. I don't know. This team doesn't rank very high. They seem to be less than average. They're below the Andy Dalton line when it comes to the USFL right now, in my opinion. Where's my Breakers breakdown? Right here, Kyle Sloter. You got to throw Kyle Sloter's name in there with one of the top quarterbacks in this league so far. I know you like Jordan Tambu, and I will see how you feel about Loletta coming up here. I mean, obviously you love Alec McGough, but Kyle Sloter, I think he's got to be right up there. And they have what is probably, at this point in time, just all speculation, but the number one receiver in the league in Sean Poindexter. TJ Logan at running back. I have to go with the New Orleans Breakers here. I think they just have much more powerful offense. Now, I haven't gotten into breaking down defenses yet, and of course, defense is not my specialty in the first place. So I'm going purely off of offenses with my picks here. But
the offense for
I was just saying I'll take the Breakers.
Okay, the offense for New Orleans certainly does read very enticing. I will absolutely give it a Kyle Sloter. And Sean Poindexter, you mentioned as well. I've had some close-up experience with him. He also being with the 49ers for a bit in the NFL. And he, by the way, he can be a dominant receiver.
Yes.
He is a big target in an end zone kind of receiver. Definitely had potential to make it on an NFL roster, but he was one of the many that didn't really ever break through some injury issues, and it just didn't end up getting targets and not being used in that Shanahan system really as the big body number one sort of downfield receiver. Huge talent that didn't quite make it in the NFL. He could be a dominant player like you pointed out, and that to me already puts the Breakers offense way above Philly, and possibly makes them one of the more dangerous units. And like you said, defense tough to evaluate. Defenses take longer to adjust and install the full playbook. It's just sometimes a bit more complex. Offenses usually run off of a lot of basic concepts that everyone is familiar with. Defenses tend to vary a little bit more, and especially in the defensive backfield, it demands a lot of chemistry to be developed, whereas offenses, you get the basic blocking schemes, the basic route trees that everyone's been working with basically since middle school, which can be used to their advantage a little bit. I will also take the Breakers, like you said, for that reason, probably being the superior offensive unit as of right now, though I will say for the Philadelphia Stars, from what I've seen, I do like the names that they have on defense. I think they have a solid group together in terms of players. What it is going to end up turning out as remains to be seen. I'm not putting my chips on a defense that's kind of speculatory at this point. So Breakers for me is the pick as well. And then lastly, we have the Tampa Bay Bandits at the Pittsburgh Maulers.
I mean, this is interesting to me. You seem to have a different opinion, but Pro Football Focus has the Tampa Bay Bandits listed as number 1 in the power rankings as of right now. Todd Haley led Tampa Bay Bandits. That's kind of interesting. He worked a little bit with the Browns there. Where is my Bandits breakdown? Right there. Yeah, this is the Jordan Ta'amu led. Man, this team looks amazing. I'm just looking back at it now. I guess they're lacking at wide receiver right now, but Ta'amu more than makes up for it. You know, he's a running quarterback. I mean, he can gun. He's got a big arm. The throwing Samoan. Out of Ole Miss, B.J. Emmons is probably one of the best running backs in this league. This team looks really good. Let me look at the Maulers here. Kyle Loletta. Guess what? If Kyle Loletta doesn't work out, don't have no fear, because Jordan Love's brother is playing backup quarterback for the Maulers there. Madre London and Jeffrey Thomas. That team is really lacking on offense. I don't know how they. Well, let me see. Where did they put them? Pro Football Focus has them ranked number 3 in the power rankings. I don't see it. Not with this lineup that I'm looking at. I don't know how you rank them number 3 in the power rankings. Maybe because historically the Maulers were good in the original USFL or something. But with this roster, I just can't see it happening. I'm definitely taking Todd Haley's Tampa Bay Bandits to win this one.
Ranking him at 3 is a lot of faith in the quarterback room, and I can kind of get why. You already pointed out a good argument for the Bandits, which is Todd Haley, which is maybe the best coach going into this, and of course Jordan Ta'amu. So when I said at the start, said I had Birmingham and New Jersey arguably as my top 2 teams, you could throw Tampa in there as well. They're close third to me at the moment. Like I said, I didn't slap numbers on it, and maybe that might change. Maybe it's kind of interchangeable. It's a really good roster. You know, I trust Jordan Ta'amu to be possibly the best player in the league, and he should have been the number 1 overall pick instead of Shea Patterson, in my opinion. Well-coached team, would have to assume. Another player I wanted to point out for this team, specifically for Tampa Bay, is Dylan Mack, defensive tackle, who I have no idea why he's not in the NFL. He must have been probably the most dominant defensive lineman I've ever seen coming out of the high school level, transitioning into college and later the NFL, aside of maybe Brian Breezy. But he did play a couple seasons in the NFL. I think he kind of never really made the starting spot anywhere. But on the college level, I think Texas A&M, and especially the high school before that, he was one of the top recruits. He might have been the top recruit in like 2017 or something. I don't remember exactly, but I remember hearing about him then.
Oh yeah.
And I'm surprised that he is not in the NFL. So that is a big pickup as well. This team is going to be good at rushing the passer, which is going to be important going forward. I'm not fully convinced by the support and the offensive skill positions. And that's kind of my big problem there. I know Jordan Ta'amu can do a lot. He can run. He can make plays, buy time in the pocket. Is the running game going to be able to hold up? Are they going to be able to run the ball, or is Jordan just going to face pressure and sit back all day? Is my question about this team. Talent-wise, possibly, considering both players and coaching, possibly the most talented roster in the league. I still would probably rank at least the Stallions in front of them, but it is very hazy. It's very hard to make those definitive decisions at this point. So to me, I will take them to win the game against the Maulers. Yeah, I will take them to win that game, but I have to see something. Now, you said the Maulers were ranked pretty high as well. That's faith in the quarterback room, 100%. You said there's Jordan Love's brother if Colorado doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Jordan Love hasn't worked out yet, so that's a lot of steps to take to say that's necessarily a good thing. But good defensive backs from what I can see here. Decent wide receivers. They're a good group. I think solid team. Take Tampa just for Jordan Ta'amu. I think especially early on, the talent, the experience there is going to prevail. But this could probably be the closest game. I think this is possibly the closest game of the week to me. Right now, I think got actually Stallions Generals could also be pretty close.
Yeah.
A lot is going to depend on quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the quarterbacks are going to carry most of these teams if they do have a quarterback good enough to do it. I got to agree that the Stallions and Generals are probably the closest game, looking at it from right now. I'm just seeing, I don't know why they're ranking the Maulers so high. I'm seeing them as the bottom of the barrel down there with the Stars. And probably the Panthers are probably bringing up the rear of this list.
Yeah, if I had to put one team at the bottom, it would be the Panthers. At this point in time, it would be the Panthers.
I mean, as experienced as Jeff Fisher is, you would think maybe he could pull something out, but
he's not playing. He's not out on the field.
The roster just isn't there for them.
All these coaches are good. Now he's got probably the most NFL experience there, but he's working from behind a little bit. And I think he could have had better quarterbacks. Being that they picked at number 1, I don't like that pick because it is a bit of a face of the franchise kind of idea, and I get why. You're building yourself a fan base, no doubt. Maybe strategically not the best move in a success. Sports success oriented direction. That's why I would probably put them down.
Wow, this is down there. Interesting. CBS has the betting odds for, I guess this is for the entire season, and it looks like I was going to say the Panthers, they're number 1 as far as the best odds in the league, but they are also tied with the Bandits and the Breakers. So, I mean, at least they have a little bit of faith that the Panthers are going to come through at some point with...
Really?
Just off of...
They're tied? They're tied for first? And Birmingham is not?
Yeah.
Wow.
Birmingham is plus 700 and Panthers are plus 450.
Wow. Okay. I might have to place a bet on the Stallions if that is the case. I'll have to look through
that sounds like
and
a good
see what's
bet,
going on there. Yeah. They feel I would clearly take them as a superior team.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I overrate Alex Magoo. I say overrate compared to how other people rate him. Because I think I'm rating him correctly. Because I think he'll be top 2, top 3 quarterback in the league easy, and they got him at 6.
Yeah.
So maybe because I believe in that more, and the importance of the quarterback. Maybe that's why that's the case for me, and they think Shea Patterson might be a better quarterback, which I don't believe he is.
Yeah, I got Shea Patterson ranked 7th. And I had Alex Magoo and Byron Scott. I was kind of torn on between the middle of the pack there, 4 and 5 on them, but you might be changing my mind. I'm going to have to really watch him play this week.
What I've seen from him, again, Seattle, right, preseason, look good, look solid, better than a 7th round pick, which is important for a quarterback. You look at how they translate, right? You can look at the stats, the intangibles, and the draft status all day, but how does it translate when it actually comes to NFL on-field action? I think he looked ahead of what his stats and what his history would suggest. Just a little bit, just preseason, no big deal, but the hope is definitely there. It's about the most clear thing we can sort of get out of a lot of these players, because we just haven't seen many of them in really significant pro football action. Jordan Ta'amu is really one of the exceptions with the XFL there for a year.
Absolutely.
And some experience in NFL as well, backed up for the Chiefs.
Yeah. You want some players to watch this week? Check out Stevie Scott with the running back for the Panthers and B.J. Emmons for the Bandits. I think these two guys are probably the best. And Mike Weber is not far behind with the Generals. But it's wide receiver, Cavante Turpin, and we've already talked about Sean Poindexter. And this Isaiah Zuber, I'm really excited to see what he's going to do, because just from his experience level and his rankings, I took 3 or 4 different sites' rankings and put them all into this. So he's ranked pretty highly too, although I really want to see how he performs on the field.
Yeah, I will give the special shout out to some trench play, because I know a lot of people not interested in that. They want to see skill positions and receivers. Look at the Tampa Bay Bandits if you want to look at some trench play, offensive line, defensive line, a lot of individual talent, and if the chemistry develops, they could be dominant on both sides of the ball. Tyler Catalina. On the offensive line, you got, of course, Dylan Mack, already pointed out with John Atkins. The pass rush has the potential to be fierce for Tampa Bay, and that could be worth a lot, especially later in the year when offenses kind of figure out their passing game a little more. That's my big call out there, and I guess Alex Magoo as well, right? Quarterback that no one really seems to have on their radar as much as me at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought you had him on there, but hey, I'm gonna check him out now.
To me, I don't want to promise too much, but he's my number 2 quarterback. Yeah, number 2 in this league at least. Definitely ahead of Kyle Latta, ahead of Shea Patterson, just behind Jordan Ta'amu.
Yeah, I think that's the consensus. Number 1 is Jordan Ta'amu. I don't think anybody can argue with that. I got Kyle Sloter up there right behind him, but we'll see how it shakes out.
It could be 3. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. It's hard to speculate on much of this at all, but we'll wait for the first week, and then next week we'll have a lot more insight, and we kind of know what's up. We might have probably been wrong about a lot of stuff, maybe right about some stuff.
Maybe so.
We'll see when we get there. But leave us your predictions in the comments as well. From what you can gauge, it's difficult now to really make anything of it. I will definitely check betting odds, because that looks like an exploit to me, possibly exploitable scenario there. The way we talked about it. If that's the case, no guarantees, no financial advice whatsoever. I might have some smart money on Birmingham if it stays that way going into the weekend. But really, anything can happen.
Hey, if you believe in the Generals, they are dead last at plus 900 right now.
They're last.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think they're in the top half to me, at least. Probably top 3. Yeah, they're in the top 3.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Birmingham, the Generals, and Tampa, top 3.
Yeah, I like this Generals team. I mean, the quarterback situation is what it is, but they have really good skill position players outside of the quarterback position.
I don't know, Ben Holmes. I mean, they picked him at 4th, right? They see something.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, is that who they're going with, though?
I'd have to imagine.
Okay.
Can't know for sure until they actually come out on the field. That is for sure.
That's true.
Anything can happen in training camp, especially on such a short notice.
Yeah, and it's tough because they're not letting any of it be filmed. I saw that clip of a practice game. It's just like the very end of it. And wow, and even that, like, it was very muffled audio, and you could hear the drone noise that they were shooting it with. You know, no professional quality video there.
Well, we hope that this is going to turn out as a successful experiment. If it's going to be anything like the original USFL, it's going to be an incredible success. We have NFL, like Pro Football Hall of Famers in that league, like close to a dozen. So doesn't really look like that's the case at the moment because the NFL is so established. But if we can get anywhere near there and maybe have some rising stars who maybe missed the NFL draft, maybe getting a second chance or just coming out straight out of college and using this as their step up, that's gonna be a success in my book. Mm-hmm. Now, if they survive the whole season, it's a success, judging from recent history.
Yeah, hasn't happened in quite some time.
Yep, AAF didn't do it, XFL didn't do it, so about time someone did it. Hopes are definitely there, and I think they have a shot at it because there's that history. Because the AAF, that was all new. No one knew what a San Diego Fleet was. That was a made up thing. Yeah. Completely new team, no fans, no history, no fan base whatsoever. XFL, little more so, but not really that much of a household name. The USFL, that's the second biggest, successful football league in history.
I know, it's crazy to think, but it is. Yeah.
Along the NFL. And there are legitimately people who are fans of these teams and have been for a long time and are going to be happy to see them back. There's history there. And I think the public interest is going to be there more so than for those other leagues. So hopeful once again. I know we said about the XFL as well, but hopeful this time for sure. A lot of talent there, and clearly coaches are taking it seriously because we got some NFL quality coaching going on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to it. Saturday and Sunday, full weekend of games. And let us know your predictions. Like I said, if you have any ideas, any inclinations, let us know in the comment section, and we'll review it next week. See what we can learn from that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
I think that's it for this week.
All right, that's it for this week. Thank you for watching. Drop us a like and give us your best take in the comments, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Deuces.